Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
This is more of a standard PED story, I think, but it was always in the woods. This might just be scary to me for obvious reasons, but here you go. 10 years old. Live in a populated suburban area. My house is on the edge of town on the top of a hill. The backyard merges into the woods, which go on for miles. I spend countless hours exploring the woods. Usually with my best friend, rarely alone. It's a thick brush, the trails are pathetic and narrow. Virtually never encounter anyone on them. Just the odd group of teenagers drinking beer and smoking every now and again. Hunting isn't permitted, nobody walks their dog there, nobody hikes it. I walk through a small portion of it every day after school. It's steep and terribly difficult to walk up, but it's much faster than taking the road. Usually my friend is with me then as well. We do this every school day unless he can't come over for whatever reason. Our main activity is going to an abandoned hunter's blind. It's a large wooden structure with multiple levels. We repair it for ages, which consists of us nailing boards over the cracks in the side. It's now our clubhouse. We hid my friend's porno mags, cigarettes and fireworks in the base, under a large board. Show our work to a third friend, who is very impressed. We can barely tear him away from the playboys when we leave. About a month and a half later, my main friend and I are walking home from school as usual. We're at the top of the hill and very close to my house. I would be able to see it if not for the brush. A gigantic fat man appears wobbling down the trail in a massive gray shirt and sweatpants. Have never seen someone so large. He's 6'4" or so and easily 300 pounds. He's moving very slowly, swaying back and forth with his weight. Coming from the direction of my house. He's hunched over and looking almost completely at the ground as he walks. He only notices us when we're about 30 feet away. His head instantly perks up, he stands up straight, and his eyes light up. He says, "Hey." As we come up to pass him, as if we were old friends. We both mutter something like, "Hey man." He's not blocking our path, but he has stopped and clearly wants to chat.
"So what are you two up to?"
"Just walking home."
"Hey, that's cool, I'm right around here too. Where do you guys live?"
My friend starts telling the guy where he lives, practically gives his address. He doesn't seem terribly interested. He's looking at me the entire time.
"So I guess you live up here then?"
"Yeah. Right over there," and point toward the neighborhood, but away from my house.
Cool. I just moved up here from Pennsylvania."
I say something along the lines of, "Cool dude, we'll see you around then." He has a shocked, disappointed look on his face. Kind of face that says, "What the fuck, dude? Seriously." I start walking and my friend quickly follows me. 2 weeks later, my friend and I headed over to our clubhouse. We open up our little hidden compartment and everything is gone. Someone stole the Playboys, the fireworks and the cigarettes. They even took the fucking matches. We freak the fuck out and immediately agree that it was our third friend. He's the only person who we showed the place to. Maybe he told some older kids and they stole it.
"No, dude, he just stole it all for himself. He's an asshole."
We confronted our third friend about it the next day at school. He's fucking perplexed and denies it up and down. Says we must have been seen by some other kids going there. We accept his answer but are still very suspicious. Head down to our clubhouse about a week later. Make a point of creeping up on the place to catch any intruders. There's of course nobody there. We walk onto the first floor, with our tools for more repairs. There's a thick piece of paper on the floor with a rock on top of it. It's folded in half. We look at each other thinking, motherfuckers. I'm assuming the note is from older kids who stole our stuff. expecting a big, "Fuck you, thanks for the cigs." I open it up. It says, "Hey Blondie, looking for these?" with a sideways smiley face. We both start scanning the area with our eyes. Nobody is around.
That was Jerry, dude.
Jerry is just some scary high schooler with no connection to us or the event. My friend is a moron. I really don't think so. Maybe some old hunter guys still come here. We agree that whatever it is, we should abandon the site. A week or so passes and I'm walking through town alone at about 11 p.m. Because my parents gave me zero boundaries. The town is almost totally empty as usual. From a distance I see the man. He's sitting on the steps of one of our many churches. He sees me right away. I don't want to hurt his feelings by crossing the road.
Hey man, look who it is.
I say, "Hey," and continue my brisk pace. Just as I pass him he says, "Stop." His voice and face have completely changed and I'm thoroughly intimidated. I stop. I'm directly in front of him but about 10 feet away. I'm almost in the road.
Hey man, talk to me for a second. What's the rush?
I'm going to meet a friend.
At this time of night? How old are you?
Tell him I'm 16 even though I'm 11 at this point.
Your hair looks almost white. Just a little blonde Aryan model boy, huh? Kid who looks like you must have a little girlfriend.
Tell him that I actually don't. He asks me if I like films.
I'm just a huge movie buff. I must have a million tapes back at my house. Do you want to come over and watch something?
My bullshit-friendly demeanor completely falls apart. He sees that I'm fucking terrified and I'm not giving an answer. He says, in the most intimate and serious way imaginable,
"You know, I would never hurt you. We're both lonely people."
I say, "I know, because I'm high on adrenaline." He starts rambling on about how we're both night people. How we're different from everyone else. I slowly turn my back and walk away for 10 steps and then sprint. I have had many encounters with him over the years since then. He lives in a house with a bunch of degenerates in the middle of town, I think. Every conversation is like that last one, with the same context. He likes to come up to me in public and talk to me as if we're old pals. I haven't seen him for a year or so though.
In college about 15 years ago. Local cemetery that's about 30 minutes away from town. It's an old pioneer cemetery and all the graves are ancient. I'd go there with friends to do ghost hunting. It was mostly just fun to be in a woods. The cemetery was about a 20 minutes drive from anywhere. In the dark with friends, hear some rustling to our rear. We didn't bring flashlights. Out comes 2 people in masks, one has an axe. They approach us. The girls are scared and start screaming. I immediately recognized it as a prank. They wanted to spook us. I just say, "Hey guys, don't scare people like that." They take off their masks and laugh about how much the girls screamed. We sit around shooting the shit for a few minutes, and they tell us about a cabin a short way away. We decided to go with them to check it out. They're weird people for sure. But they're just the local trailer trash, harmless dopes. We follow them for about 5 minutes. One of them starts futzing with his flashlight, keeping the switch half connected, trying to make it look like it's burning out. Claims his light has burned out. We know it's bullshit. We get to the cabin. Take a few pictures. It's an old log cabin, dilapidated and rotting. They go inside and we can hear whispering.
"Hey, come here guys, check this out. Seriously, guys, you gotta see this."
It's obvious they're trying to bait us into the cabin. We all agree. Decide to hightail it out of there. I still don't know what they were trying to achieve with the whole fake flashlight failure, and getting us to come inside. They were insane clown Posse fans. You know the kind. You can't trust them to not do something dumb. They weren't spooky people, but they were just unpredictable garbage humans, so when we realized they were lying to us and trying to coax us into an old dark cabin, we figured it was better to just go.
I had a creepy experience last summer, but it's nothing supernatural. It was during a week-long family reunion, vacation, so I'll trim it down the best I can. Visiting family in eastern Texas for a 4th of July party, family reunion. Felt obligated to go because the organizers hinted that several of the elder family members might not be around next time. We arrive at my aunt's house and try to unwind. Immediate regret when I realize how many shitty kids are around. Socialize up into the early AM hours out of courtesy, but we leave early the next morning. Only guy my age I knew in the area was my cousin Jake, and he was generally a cool guy. He lived about 30 minutes out, so I sent him a Facebook message and asked if it was alright to come over. He says sure, and we arrive a little bit later. Do the usual introductions and shit. I met his kids who were 1 and 3 at the time. Yada yada, nothing important happens, but he is understanding about how shitty our family can be. He offers to take us two and his son camping. My kid was ecstatic, so I couldn't say anything besides yes. We hung out a bit more that day and headed out the next morning. Arrive at the campsite and it's nothing special. Check in the area connected to a few dirt paths, most of which were hiking trails. The 4 of us park and hike for probably 30 to 45 minutes until we find a decent spot. I'm not outdoorsy, so take that as you will. We start setting up camp and my kid is already bitching about the heat. Just going to refer to him as C for the sake of understanding. Tell C that he can change into something more comfortable, and he apparently takes it as go naked if you want. Feign embarrassment, but Jake says it's nothing he hasn't seen before, so I just say fuck it. A whole 10 minutes passes after the tent is set up and C complains that he is bored. Jake's kid is collecting sticks and rocks for whatever reason, so we leave them behind and go explore the woods on our own. Really fucking shitty experience, so I don't know why people enjoy it. Fallen trees and branches all over the place, so you get stabbed by branches every 5 feet. We hadn't made it far when I saw a pink backpack resting against a tree. Just a generic backpack, but it had the name Katie written on the top in black marker. Innocent part of me just assumes someone lost it, but we find some other sketchy shit around the area. Blow-up mattress that looked heavily patched. At least 2 more backpacks. One was Spider-Man themed. What looked like heavily worn work clothing. Construction, oil fields? Whoever wore them, they looked really beat up. The concept of a crazy man living in the woods was enough for me to nope out of there. Kid was also naked from the knees up, and you can imagine what I feared. We zigzag until we get back to the campsite, and I tell Jake that I think someone is living out here. He looks concerned but still thinks he needs to go check it out himself. He goes off in the general direction and leaves me with his kid. Makes C get dressed and finish packing our shit before Jake gets back. Jake returns and says he found some clothes strewn around, but not the mattress. I just gave him a vague direction to go, so I wasn't surprised. He acts like it isn't a huge deal but still agrees to leave just in case. Jake talks to the park ranger before we leave, and I assume warns him about some guy possibly doing obscene things out there. Still feel uncomfortable even driving through densely wooded areas today. Nothing came up from what we saw. The park implemented some new policies that I believe are a response to it, but I don't think you can stop crazy. Sorry that it wasn't super exciting. Just my experience. C does do some creepy shit on his own, but he wasn't very interesting that day.
10 to 11 years old in early 2000s. Dad took me and a group of friends camping the first weekend of every summer. Routine involved driving to the camp and hiking to our spot. Dad wasn't a patient man, so he always told us, kids, to go play while he set everything up. The 4 of us obliged and went out north a bit until we found the river. Only packed what we were wearing, flip-flops. River was a relatively popular canoe route, but that didn't stop us from skinny dipping. Still wore flip-flops though, because the bottom of the river was covered in sharp as fuck rocks. We fuck around for a bit and decide to swim down the current for a while. Lots of mostly tiny fish, but not much else to be seen. 15 or so minutes later we arrive at a widening in the river where people are beaking, fishing and swimming. Some older guy around my dad's age talks to us for a few minutes. Offers us a drink, but we decline to get out of the water for obvious reasons. Start heading back to our campsite when more people arrive. Fucking girls. We turn around and swim back against the current. Swimming back was more of a challenge, but it only took an extra 5 to 10 minutes. When we get back to the shore, our clothes are gone. We argue about it being wild animals or the wind or some shit, but that doesn't help us find them. Figure Dad would be more upset about us being gone forever than the clothes. We hike back and jump at everything that sounds like it could be a person. Dad spanks me when we get back because he thinks it's a dumb joke. Never find the clothes, so I still wonder who took them and why they did it. We saw some old house on the river, so it could have been some fucked up person living out there. Or maybe just other kids playing a joke. It still creeps me out that someone was that close to us without us seeing them regardless.
True story. Me and my now ex-girlfriend take a lot of mushrooms. We decided to go to the woods. In the middle of nowhere. At night. With no torch. What could possibly go wrong? It's so dark we can barely see. I bring a stick for support because mushrooms make you wobbly. It's creepy in the woods at night anyway, but we are on fucking loads of shrooms. The dark shapes of trees seem to move, or was that really movement? I tell myself it was just the mushrooms, or maybe a sheep or a cow escaped from a nearby field. We've found dead sheep in the woods before. Staring into the trees is creepy as fuck. Everything looks like it's shifting and moving. Some trees look like dark figures. Some seem to walk. Small trees look like Slendermen. Small dark shapes occasionally dart between shadows. We're both kinda scared, but we tell ourselves it's just the mushrooms. It's just the woods. No one else comes out here late at night. We're deep in the woods now. We cross a familiar bridge across a small river. We take the path along the side of the river. On the left is a 6-foot drop to the river. On the right is sheer cliff face or dense thicket on a very steep hillside. The only possible paths are back the way we came or forwards along the path. We can only see about 15 feet in front of us. As we get about 200 feet down this path, I see something ahead of us. Looks vaguely like a person. I stop my ex-GF and ask if she can see it too. To see if it's just the mushrooms. To see if it's just a hallucination. But she says that she can see it too. Shitting myself slightly now. We move a little closer. To me, the figure looks like a man in pale trousers and a pale hoodie, hunched over with his back to us, facing about 2 o'clock from our perspective, taking a piss at the side of the path. I'm worried he's a drunk who'll be less than friendly. To my ex-GF, the figure looked like a skeletal man, in a robe with a hood, like a pale grim reaper, hunched over with his back to us in the same way. I shout, "Hey!" The figure doesn't move or respond. I shout, "Hey, you alright?" The figure doesn't move or respond. I'm super creeped out now. This weird guy is all hunched up at the side of the path like he's hiding from something, but he won't respond to us. Is he an idiot? Does he think he's hidden enough that we can't see him? Why would he be hiding? Unless he had malicious intentions. Was he trying to do something to us? Or maybe he's hiding from something other than us. I hit the ground with my stick between us and shout, "Hey, Again. To try and show that I'm going to fight back if he tries anything weird. He doesn't move or respond. Fight turns to flight. We run. Feel utter terror like nothing before. Because you can't fucking run on loads of shrooms. The woods are still alive and shadowy Slendermen still stalk the trees. We're stumbling back along the path as fast as we can. Where's the bridge? Where's the fucking bridge? We're not on the path. We should have passed it. We're lost in the woods. I see a dark shape move too near to us. My ex is panicking. We don't know where we are. She grabs my hand and drags me deeper into the woods. We're not on a path. We're struggling through bushes and undergrowth. We're wading through mud and bogs. We're trying to run, but there's too many plants in the way and we're so fucking high we can barely walk on solid ground as it is. I see a light through the trees. I think I know where we are. I grab my ex and pull her the way I think we should go. Still kinda lost. Still not on a path. We go a little further and finally, we find the path. We walk as fast as we can towards what I am hoping is the way out of the woods. Ahead of us I'm seeing dark figures moving in the tree line. Things that look like people standing on the horizon. We walk closer to them. Then I know where we are. The path out. It's about 100 feet to 200 feet long. Feels like a mile. I glance back into the woods. See something move. Walking faster. Get out. Run. The gate. We're free. We're out. Back at the village. The next day we went back in the daytime to see what the fuck was on the path by the river, and a huge chunk of rock from the cliff had collapsed right where we saw the hooded figure. Is that what we saw? A chunk of rock in the dark? Or did the figure cause the collapse?
It's not really one story as much as several stories involving the same thing. A lot of these are reports from my co-workers. Be me, working at a shitty overpriced store. Co-workers are pretty cool for the most part. I start out working stock, shift starts at 5 AM before the sun is up. Whole store feels weird at this hour, like we aren't supposed to be there. Shrug it off as me being new to the job. My schedule wasn't working, I was trying to do awkwardly timed college classes and this crappy 5 AM shit at the same time. Get transferred to sales, I am now a day walker as the stock guys call it. Turns out a girl I vaguely knew worked there, became friendly fast. She had to go into the stockroom a lot but always refused to go alone.
There's something in there, I can feel it.
Laugh it off as she is being paranoid. Supervisor goes into the stockroom to find whatever item. Lights go off. He's very into spiritual shit, so he says to the empty, dark room,
"If there is any being here, please show your presence."
Fucking door to the stockroom swings wide open, nobody comes in or is near the entrance. Supervisors nopes the fuck out to the manager's office. Friendly co-worker from before and I are working a closing shift one night. I'm cleaning up the front of the store while she's on break. Hear her scream from the break room. She's outside the break room staring at the door. Ask what happened, if she's okay. She said the light in the break room went off. She was startled, hence the scream, but figured it was me since I like to mess with her as she's easily scared. She leaves the break room and I'm nowhere in sight. She realizes it wasn't me, and the supervisor is in the back counting out the register money. Open the door, the light is still off. Flick the switch, it comes back on, definitely wasn't an electrical problem. Get in one day, again for the closing shift. All the staff members were kinda on edge and asking if I heard what happened. Haven't even punched in yet, of course I haven't. They tell me to ask another co-worker, he's also spiritual like my supervisor. Very dramatic, very gay, but in a tolerable way. Says he was using the restroom that morning right before the store opened. As he's doing whatever, maggots start crawling up through the drain in the center. Make their way towards the walls, climbing them. Co-worker says they moved pretty fast compared to how fast he thought maggots would be. Freaks out, gets the store manager. Maggots are still there when he shows them to her. She freaks out too. Don't remember how, but they cleaned it up and I think poured something down the drain. Working a closing shift again. Store just closed and hasn't really started doing shit. Store got a phone call from security saying someone entered our store through the back door. Put on the best angry face I can and go to the back with the manager and another co-worker following. I'm one of the only guys on staff and I'm a big intimidating guy, so that's normal. Look through the entirety of the stockroom, nothing there. Security insists it happened. One night, one of the bottles of beer flew off the shelf and shattered. This happens a good hour or so after all employees leave. Check security camera footage in the morning. Looks like it was thrown off. It was broken before it hit the ground. Check the glass pieces, there's a source of impact. Appears to have originated from inside the bottle itself. No explanation whatsoever about how it happened. So basically what I'm saying is my store was haunted. You could kinda feel it, but there were times that it just felt foreboding. I'm still mildly afraid to go into that store.
My father is a forestal engineer. He basically studied how to manage which trees should be cut, how to repopulate certain areas, etc. So while in college, University of Kiev, he liked to go do alpinism with other people. He has been doing it since he was 15 and now he is like 22 or 23. He has a lot of experience. Now he is like the squad leader of one of the multiple hiking groups. Okay, Greentext starts now, boys. They travel for days by train from Kiev to the Caucasus, where they meet with the squad. They plan a route for a week. With tents, food and all the equipment, the backpack weighs around 80 kilograms, which is like 170 pounds. Kinda like carrying another person. They start hiking. The first day goes unnoticed. Second day they make it through some cliffs. There is a big storm coming, they can see it from the black clouds. They decide to camp it out. The storm continues for 2 days. Food must be rationed. After 2 days of waiting they decide it's good to go, and restart the path. Shortly after they get a call on the radio they are carrying. It's some forest ranger or forest guard, IDK how to name them. They do the rescuing if someone gets lost. They are advising them to come back as fast as they can, no sleep if needed. Father asks why. 2 girls who were hiking by themselves had some real trouble. One of them is missing, the other one is dead, her head bashed in with a rock. Murderers, kidnappers might still be around. Oh, for fuck's sake. GIF. They make it back in what would be close to 24 hours of non-stop walk, descending cliffs. One of the search parties is already out. They make it in time for the second one. They sleep for 3 hours before the search starts. Father says they just laid down their sleeping bags in the storage hut of the ranger's outpost. They could hear everything he spoke on the radio. Shit was insane. The first ranger rescue party was following a trail. It was like a human bare footstep. But longer, like a size 18, also it went deep into the snow, mud. They are following it, but it goes very fast and through terrain where you need lots of equipment to climb. They barely sleep. Search party meets. Ranger says they are going towards this summit, and will search along the trail. Father knows the map, and the way the other rangers were following that thing, they are going to try to intercept it. Rangers give rifles to everyone because, lots of bear sightings. Father knows it's bullshit but does not say anything. They start the trail at a very high pace. While walking for hours my father asks the ranger what happened to the girls. Ranger.
Long story short, girls camp, someone tears the tent apart, kills one of them, partially eats her, and the other girl disappears. We following a trail.
They keep going for a few hours. Until they stop for a break and to eat something. Father says he usually is very comfortable in the mountains, woods. But this time he was having the creeps. They are all sitting around a fire lightly speaking and eating food when he realizes. There is not a single fucking sound around them. Everything went quiet instantly. He grabs his rifle, chambers a bullet and looks into the dark. The only thing he can see is eyes. Like fucking eyes reflecting from the bonfire. Some of them were very high up in the air, no fucking wolf could be that tall. And bears would not stare at you, and there is not that many fucking bears in one place. This is something different. Everyone takes notice. Tension grows. He is feeling pure terror, dread. He could not explain to me how fucking scared he was. And then there is a shot. The muzzle flash illuminates the place for a split second. It's the first ranger party. But for that split second he could see them. He explained they all look like very tall people with no clothes, maybe 8 foot tall. They were skinny, and you could see their pores in the ribs and shit, like very low body fat. But they also had like parts with very pronounced muscles, very long hair almost to their waist. And pale as fuck. After the first shot they scatter around and leave. Again, not a single fucking sound. There were like 40 of them around the campfire and all of them leave without you hearing even a branch break. They met the rangers, they found the clothes of the other girl torn apart and blood, but no body. They all go back to camp without saying a word. Father stopped doing alpinism after that. Only he started going to mountains again after I was born. We liked hiking etc. Never we spent a night in the forest AMD mountains though, only during the day. Girls were reported a bear attack takes the lives of 2 young women. Don't know if he was just trolling me or something, but when I asked my mother she confirmed that my father suddenly stopped going to the mountains and woods and never said why. So I don't know, maybe the story is true. Maybe he was trying to scare me.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.